Hey folks, Rich here. Today I have one of the nicest F-18 Hornets on the market. This is the Freewing A-18E Super Hornet. It has tons of features. It's a very impressive model. I'll try to get through it as briefly as I can, but there's really a lot to show you here. Let's get started. Now, overall, the airplane's made out of EPS foam as opposed to EPO foam. EPS is a little bit more of a rigid type foam, and it's a better application when there are thin-walled or thin areas of foam. It's just much better suited for this kind of model than EPS. It is a more rigid foam, which is good, but it also dents a little more easily. So in order to keep your model up, and what I did, one of the first things I did when I got the airplane is I took a piece of the gray, because it's all pretty much mostly gray. I took a piece of the airplane over to Lowe's, had the paint department scan it, and for $3 they'll make you a little paint can, a sample. And you can touch up the airplane. It's an interior wall paint. You can either brush it on or you can use an airbrush, and it's just a really great way to maintain this model. Now, to build this airplane, really simple. 6 screws, and you glue on a few components, and you're good to go. There's actually 4 screws that go onto the wings, 2 that put the elevators on. There are main spars, and the wings plug in now, whereas the older version of the airplane, you had to actually glue the wings on. The only items that you glue on this airplane is the nose cone, which you use a little contact cement for, and your vertical stabilizers. And I put those on actually with 15-minute epoxy instead of the supplied 5-minute. If you're really good using 5-minute epoxy and you can work that quickly, you know, have at it. It's a good way to go. Aside from that, really, you just magnetically put your bombs on. You glue your hard points on for your missiles and drop tanks. You put your receiver battery in, and you're good to go. Electronics wise, it's a really nice package in this thing. It's really just like the Freewing Stinger 90. Powering this, you have a 3748 1450 kV brushless outrunner with a really nice 12-blade all-composite fan. That's in a metal shroud, and the metal shroud really helps dissipate the heat quite a bit, and also is very rigid, so there's no distortion or anything in that fan. And the fan just puts out that really nice turbine jet sound, and it doesn't sound like an electric airplane. Now, driving that is a 130 amp ESC. Now that's improved. This is the version 2 of the airplane. The old version was a 100 amp. We're now up to 130, and we have an 8 amp onboard BEC that drives all 11 servos in this. So those 11 servos are pre-installed. All your flight controls, your flaps, ailerons, elevator thrust vectors are all on metal gear servos, because this is a 100 mile an hour plus airplane, and it's definitely nice having the security of the metal gear servos in this. Now, powering this whole thing, it's a 6-cell, 5,000 milliamp, 50C pack in this thing. There is access here to the fan with 2 screws here. You can get in there real easy. The access hatch, which Pete's going to zoom in on here, you can see how I get in here, and all the electronics are right here. Your battery bay is right here. I'm going to go ahead and lift this up so Pete can see. Your battery pack sits right there, and all your electronics are here. Your speed controller's here. The BEC is here, and then there's 2 also electronic control modules in there. One of the modules is a light controller module, and then there's a landing gear controller module. They're already installed. You can check the connections of them if you want to, but they're all installed and ready to go on this plug-and-play version of the airplane. Now, it's real easy to get this hatch open. There is just a latching mechanism here to get this on here, and you can see how easy it is just to kind of pop this into place. Now, I'm going to go ahead and flip this upside down and let Pete take a look at the underside, and we'll show you some of the details on this thing. As I get this thing upside down, there's a lot to talk about under here, guys. One of the first things I want to point out really is the missiles and the drop tanks. They're all magnetic, and I'm going to have Pete zoom kind of right in on here. Once you glue your hard points on, they're magnetic, so you literally can just take the missile on and off with a rare earth magnet. Same thing with the wingtip missiles and with the drop tanks. The hard points glue on, but those are removable. Now, for the flight demo, I'm not going to have those on there just because they add drag. They slow the airplane down a little bit. The plane flies fine with them, but to extend the flight time, I just like to leave them off the airplane to fly, just for better performance. Now, as far as control linkages go, you can kind of see, I'm going to have Pete zoom right back in on here. You can see for the elevator, you've got really nice metal balls and ball linkages, and all nylon hinges all the way throughout for the flaps and the ailerons. And the elevator is mounted on a steel pin. There's a large steel pin where that rotates on. Your vector nozzles are all controlled by ball links as well. So a lot to this airplane. Now, one of the biggest things you notice is the landing gear. Get Pete to zoom in, just show the whole, all the landing gear system. It's a really nice, the main gear has outstanding suspension in it, and the nose wheel also has a really nice, all of them are trailing links, and you can see it just has tremendous compression in all of them. One thing to note about this airplane, mostly because of the nose wheels, they're very small. This plane really is best suited to operate on a runway, on a paved surface. On grass, unless you have a really finely compact surface, it'll tend to really beat up where the nose strut is mounted in this thing. But overall, just a nice set of landing gear. Now I'm going to go ahead and cycle it for everybody so you can kind of see what it looks like. Here we go. All right, and you got sequencing doors there. There's two sequencing doors for the nose, and for the mains, there's just an empty hole here where they come in and out. I'll go ahead and extend the wheels. It comes like this right out of the box as well. And that's what that landing gear control module is all about that we discussed before. But super nice landing gear. Again, really great airplane operating on pavement. Now I'm going to flip this on the ground. I'm going to put this down so Pete can get a look at the control surfaces. This is the last thing I'm going to really show you guys. You can see here on a 3-position switch, I have the flaps set for a takeoff setting and a landing setting, which is full flaps. And the ailerons. You can see your aileron control. I'm going to go ahead and turn the vectors off here. You can see the aileron control and the elevator control. Now, this is a 7-channel airplane, so there's no rudders on the airplane, as you can see, but you do have yaw control, okay, that is mixed in with a Y harness through the thrust vector. So as long as you have thrust going through those, you do have yaw control with full-time vectoring. It's 7 channels set up this way. If you want to split your nose steering and your yaw vector, you can do that with a splitter, but you'll need an 8th channel for that. Now, just to show you how the vectors, where the thrust vectors work for pitch and roll, I have a separate switch. And when you activate that switch, which I just flipped, you now get pitch control from your vector nozzles, and you also get roll control mixed in with your ailerons. In order to do this, you need a computer radio with 4 open mixers. It's very easy to mix. I may put out a separate video to show everybody actually how to set that up. But you can see here, mixed in with the rudder and the ailerons and the elevator, you have full-time 360-degree thrust vectoring, which really gives you that super maneuverability, so you can spin the airplane, flip it, have it swap ends, and so forth. And the way I set mine up, I have all the vectors except for the yaw hooked up to one switch, so I can turn those off when I want and turn them on at will. So at slow speeds, you'll fly around with the vectors, and at high speed, you'll probably have them off because the control is very sensitive. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much an overview of the airplane. There's a lot to this airplane. What we're going to do is get it out to the runway, get it up there, and give you a flight demo of the Freewing A-18E Super Hornet. All right, guys, I got the F-18 out here. We're going to taxi it on out onto the runway here, put a setting of flaps in. I'm actually going to take off with the vectored nozzles because I'm just going to go vertical with it after takeoff. Just testing out the nozzles, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I'll get it on down to the runway. There's actually a good distance between the CG and the wheels on this, so it's tough to get a smooth takeoff out of this plane. But we'll do our best with it here. We'll get it lined up. And here we go, guys. Smoothly applying power. Rotating it, gears coming up, flaps are coming up. We're gonna go vertical with it and let it just kind of slow down. Full throttle and nozzles. Go right into a spin with it. This thing will do all kinds of cool stuff with these vector nozzles on, and then recover. Bring it down the runway. Fast pass. Go vertical at the end. Vectors are coming off now. Sort of a half Cuban 8 there. We'll do the same thing at the other end. And it looks like we got another jet going up. We're just gonna keep flying with him there. There we go. Bank it into some steep turns out front here. Put it right out front so Pete can film it. This is just a nice flying plane, guys. F-18 Super Hornet. All right, I'll bring it down the center line. We'll roll it upside down, give you all a little inverted. Right down the runway. Turn it around here. Bring it back inverted. Real stable airplane, guys. Real smooth. Rolling it back around. Now I'll give you guys a little bit of touch and go maneuvering here with it. Gears coming down, flaps are coming down. This airplane, like I said before, just because of the nose wheel, the wheels are so small, you really do need some pavement for this, or really some fine grass. So, but I tell you, it flies so nice and does really nice landings with it. So we'll give you a touch and go here out of it. Right on the runway, very predictable. Get a little bounce out of it. We'll continue, gears up, flaps are coming up. I'm gonna go straight up with it here again. Pete's gonna do his best to follow it. I'm gonna kick rudder and elevator or aileron over, just put it into a flat spin here, and then we'll recover. Bring it back. Now what I'm gonna do is show you guys a cobra maneuver here, sorta, like the Russians do with their Sukhois. I'm gonna get it nice and slow, pitch it up, full throttle and pitch it back, and it'll go right around. Now you gotta be careful because it can depart and go out on a spin like that, so you just wanna be real careful. I'll take it back there and do it again, slow it down, get it into sort of a high alpha, get it nice and slow, full throttle and pitch it back, and it'll just go right around. And again, being careful it doesn't enter a spin. You just wanna be careful, because it will depart controlled flight. You do wanna be kind of careful with it. Vectors are off now. And for high-speed passes, you really want to have those nozzles off. All right, straight up again. And bring it for a half Cuban 8. And we will bring it in, guys. You get about 3 to 4 minutes of flight time on this, on the Admiral 5000 pack. Gears coming down, flaps are coming down. Just a stellar flying plane, guys. You know, if you're looking for a sweet F-18 Hornet, this is it, guys. It is just really, really nice. Let's go ahead and bring it on in here. Power's at about a quarter throttle here. Nice touchdown. Now it's important to note, you see how my plane is actually slowing down relatively quickly. What I did was I put some fuel tubing on the main wheels, and what that does is adds a little bit of friction. So if you're on pavement, it'll really help slow it down. Anyway, guys, the Freewing F-18 Super Hornet. What an awesome plane. All right, guys, as you can see from that flight demo, this is just a super nice flying airplane. Up into the triple-digit speeds at full throttle. It slows down nicely for landing, and just a stellar performing airplane. You can see with those vectored nozzles, it just gives you all kinds of really what's called in the real world is super maneuverability. You just get that ability to really change ends on the swap ends on the airplane, have it go into spins and then come out of the spin just by vectoring those nozzles. It's very impressive what it does. You do want to be careful when the nozzles are on. The plane is really, really sensitive. So generally slow speed flight, you put them on and you know, just kind of practice little by little with them and get a feel for how the nozzles control the airplane. At high speed flight with the nozzles on, zooming by fast, it's just way too sensitive, so you want to keep them off when you're doing that kind of thing. Anyway, guys, what an awesome airplane, guys. Super scale appearance. It just flies fantastic. The F-A-18 Super Hornet from Freewing. As always, thanks for checking us out, guys, and we'll see you next time.